Is WWE really looking to bring back Andrade after firing him for several wellness policy violations and making his return to AEW on the Dynamite 6th anniversary special? We'll let you know all of the details on this, plus more, in this news update. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the latest surrounding the purgatory that Andrade El Idolo finds himself in. Andrade El Idolo currently finds himself unable to wrestle outside of WWE due to a one-year non-compete clause that was activated when the company fired him with cause back in September. Now, Idolo signed with All Elite Wrestling following his WWE exit, making his return to Tony Khan's promotion on the October 1st episode of AEW Dynamite. Andrade has not appeared since, however, due to the non-compete clause, and AEW announcers have been directed not to mention the former WWE United States champion and the blame for his return to AEW being placed on the promotion's legal department. In another twist to the saga, though, rumors in recent weeks have noted there is a belief in some lucha circles that WWE are trying to use the non-compete clause as leverage to bring Andrade back to the company. This may not be the case, however, as Sean Ross Sapp has noted on Fightful Select Answers Q&A that people in WWE have told him the company have no plans to use Andrade. Andrade himself is remaining positive amidst the situation, noting over the weekend that the most important thing was that he is in good health. The 35-year-old is still being advertised for independent wrestling shows in Maine and New York in November. Whether or not he's able to compete in them, we'll let you know in a future video. Now let's go over to last night's WWE NXT and some controversy when it comes to the TNA Knockouts World Championship. The main event of the October 28th installment of NXT on the CW was Kalani Jordan defending the TNA Knockouts World Championship against Jordynne Grace. It was Kalani's second defense, as her first was against Indy Hartwell at TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. As the NXT main event was ongoing, Trick Williams and NXT champion Ricky Saints brawled their way onto the scene. The two had been going at it since the beginning of the program. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Kalani, though, went to grab the Knockouts title, but she hesitated on using it and dropped it. Saints and Williams' brawl made it into the ring, and while the referee was focused on them, Kalani hit Grace with the Knockouts Championship and pinned her to retain the title. Now, we saw Sol Ruca vacate the Women's Speed Championship last night on NXT. With Sol Ruca not being cleared to compete, she opted to let her partner Zarya defend her NXT Women's North American Championship against Blake Monroe at the Halloween Havoc Premium Live event. Monroe ended up defeating Zarya to capture the title. As the October 28th edition of NXT on the CW was ongoing, cameras cut backstage to Zarya and Ruca in General Manager Ava's office. Ruca's WWE Women's Speed Championship became the focus of the conversation, and Ava presented her with the option of allowing someone to defend it on her behalf. Ruca, with Zarya standing next to her, opted to relinquish the title. Zarya then stormed off after Ruca made her decision. Ava then stated a tournament will begin on November 4th's NXT to determine a new champion. On her Instagram story, Ruca noted that she's hoping to be cleared for NXT's Deadline Premium Live event on December 6th. She is on the promotional material for the show. Now, as we spoke about earlier on, Ricky Saints and Trick Williams were brawling for most of last night's NXT, and now their rivalry is coming to a head. It was the main event of NXT Halloween Havoc that Ricky Saints bested Trick Williams to retain the NXT Championship. The start of the post-Halloween Havoc edition of NXT on the CW saw a frustrated Trick Williams storm into the Performance Center to call out Saints. The two ended up brawling, and that continued throughout the show. Williams and Saints showed up during the main event of the TNA Knockouts World Championship match between Jordynne Grace and champion Kalani Jordan. After the match concluded, Saints and Williams continued to brawl and even drove each other through a wall. NXT General Manager Ava came into frame and announced that Williams and Saints will meet in a last man standing match for the NXT Championship in 2 weeks, which is the November 11th edition of WWE NXT. In addition to that, we're going to be getting another title match on that very same episode for the Men's Speed Championship. Starting the in-ring action of the October 28th edition of NXT on the CW was the finals of the men's speed tournament. It was Jasper Troy versus Axiom. In attendance were Los Americanos, that being Rayo Americano and Bravo Americano, on behalf of the reigning men's speed champion El Grande Americano. Troy went on to defeat Axiom with 6 seconds remaining. Troy is now going to challenge El Grande for the WWE Men's Speed Championship on the November 11th edition of WWE NXT. Blake Monroe is the new Women's North American Champion, and her first title defense has been confirmed. One of the championship matches at NXT's Halloween Havoc Premium Live event saw Zarya defend the Women's North American Championship on behalf of Sol Ruca. She faced Blake Monroe, and Monroe ended up emerging victorious. It is Monroe's first title win in WWE and her first title victory since she was the AEW Women's World Champion. A Monroe video package aired on last night's NXT, and she stated that her first title defense will be at NXT Gold Rush. Gold Rush will be a 2-week special on November 18th and 25th at the theater at Madison Square Garden. TNA Wrestling, AAA, and Evolve will also be involved in the shows as well. Speaking of titles in NXT, the NXT Women's Championship match was chaotic to say the least. NXT Women's Champion Tatum Paxley brought out the wheel that was missing from Halloween Havoc on Saturday to choose her opponent for a title defense on WWE NXT, but the match ended in chaos when JC Jane, the woman who Paxley defeated for the title at the PLE and Fatal Influence, caused a no contest. Earlier in the night, Paxley said she was going to be a fighting champion and give deserving women in the locker room a chance at her title. When she spun the wheel, it landed on Lola Vice's name, much to the chagrin of Izzy Dame, who tried to convince the champion it wasn't a good idea. Dame accompanied Paxley to the ring for her match against Vice, however. The women went back and forth in the ring, and at one point, when Paxley had Vice down on the mat, Fatal Influence was shown arriving to the arena. They stormed down the ramp and took out Dame. Vice and Paxley stood back-to-back in the ring as Fatal Influence surrounded them on the apron. Jane, Fallon Henley, and Lainey Reed jumped in the ring and beat down the woman, causing the no contest. Later in the night, it was revealed Vice, Dame, and Paxley will take on Fatal Influence in 6-woman tag team action next week. We also saw the WWE Evolve Women's Champion in action last night on WWE NXT. Kendall Gray defeated Lash Legend during WWE NXT to retain her WWE Evolve Women's Championship for the first time. The champion was accompanied by Ren Sinclair at ringside, with Sinclair being the catalyst for the match even being made in the first place. Legend and Sinclair had a brief verbal spat as the latter continued to try to get the Ren QCC off the ground, prompting Gray to stick up for her friend and the challenge being made. Much of the early going saw Legend making use of her size advantage, holding down the champion and attempting to keep her offense restrained. Gray opened up space for herself, but failed to follow through owing to the damage she had taken beforehand, continuing to fight uphill and trying to find answers to Legend's answers to her offense. It took a trip to the outside and a planting DDT to seemingly get some room, dumping Legend back into the ring and going to the top rope. She was once again caught by Legend and looked to be in danger as she went for a big boot, but Gray avoided it and connected with her jumping flatliner finisher for the pinfall and title retention. With the victory, Gray completed her first defense for the title since dethroning Carly Armstrong on WWE Evolve in September, and Vic Joseph was quick and clear to point out this was perhaps the biggest win of her WWE career thus far. Now, several matches have been confirmed for next week's edition of WWE NXT on the CW. On the docket for the November 4th edition of NXT on the CW is the start of the WWE Women's Speed Championship Tournament. Sol Ruca is not cleared to compete, and she opted to have her partner Zarya defend her Women's North American title against Blake Monroe at the Halloween Havoc PLE. Zarya ended up losing the title. Ruca was still in possession of the Women's Speed title, but instead of opting to let Zarya defend it, she chose to relinquish the bout. NXT General Manager Ava stated that a tournament to crown a new champion is beginning next week. Later in last night's show, Zarya told Ruca that she is entering the tournament to win the title back for her. There is going to be a 6-woman tag team match. The new NXT Women's Champion Tatum Paxley put her title on the line against Lola Vice that we spoke about, but the match was thrown out when Fatal Influence crashed the bout. They took out Paxley's faction mate Izzy Dame along the way. At Halloween Havoc, Paxley defeated Jane to become the champion. On next week's episode of NXT, Paxley, Dame, and Vice will face Fatal Influence. Also on the docket for next week's episode is a single bout between Javon Evans and Dark State's Saquon Sugars. Now, after days of speculation, we finally know officially what all of those mystery teasers were. It was for WrestleMania 42. For several days, WWE has put out teasers of individuals walking, and that was followed up by a video of a poker chip. It has now been revealed that the teasers were a hype video for WrestleMania 42 in 2026. For the second consecutive year, WrestleMania is going to be taking place at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada on April 18th and on April 19th. Featured in the promotional video were WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque, undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman. Tickets for the two-night event are on sale. Next up on the calendar for WWE is their Saturday Night's Main Event special on November 1st in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now let's talk about the viewership information for last week's episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. While wrestling has taken a beating on cable due to Nielsen's new viewership system, things haven't gone much better for Raw on Netflix. September proved to be the worst month the Red Brand has had since joining Netflix back in January, with 3 out of the 5 episodes drawing 2.4 million total views or less, and the September 22nd and 29th episodes in particular drawing a record low of 2.3 million views over a week. And October really hasn't been much kinder, rising only to the 2.4 million views range. Fortunately, October 20 turned out to be the best Raw has done in a while. WrestleNomics reports that the episode drew 2.6 million views over the course of the week. Not only was this up from the October 13th show, but it represents the highest number of total views Raw has gotten in a month since the September 8th and 15th episode each did 2.6 million views. Raw was also up in hours viewed with 5.1 million, up from 4.6 million, and the highest number of hours viewed since 5.3 million on September 15th. The good news was also reflected in Netflix's global and domestic rankings, where Raw has continued to place well, even with lower than expected viewership. The October 20th episode placed 6th globally, the highest Raw has ranked in that category since August 25th. Similarly, Raw was up to 4th place domestically, the first time it's gotten that high since September 22nd. Last week's Raw was built around the fallout of the Division's betrayal of Seth Rollins 1 week prior and featured Rollins being stripped of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship due to the attack/shoulder injury. The show was main evented by a battle royal to determine who would face CM Punk for the vacant championship at Saturday night's main event, with Jey Uso ultimately prevailing to face CM Punk. Elimination Chamber is set to be in Chicago, Illinois next year on February 28th, and now it seems the promotion intends to schedule a few additional shows over the same weekend. PW Insider is reporting that WWE is also preparing to host WWE SmackDown on February 27th in Chicago, and has also discussed staging AAA and WWE NXT shows over the weekend, making for a full slate of events. WWE is yet to announce the venue for Elimination Chamber, while many have assumed they'll run the Allstate Arena as they did during their last trip to Chicago. Reporter Andrew Baydala revealed on Monday that Monster Jam has the building booked throughout the weekend in question and has shown no evidence of cancelling or rescheduling these days. Regardless of the specific arena, Elimination Chamber 2026 will mark the first time since 2021 that the Elimination Chamber event will be held in the United States. The last 3 years of the show have taken place in Perth, Western Australia, Montreal, Canada, and Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It will be the first WWE main roster US PLE of 2026, as the 2026 Royal Rumble is set to be held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. WrestleMania, of course, will once again return to Allegiant Stadium in Nevada, which hosted the 2-day event earlier this year, before it too travels to Riyadh in 2027. Now, we spoke previously about AAA, and Rey Mysterio is set to be involved in the promotion a lot moving forward. AAA is set to host a Guerrera de Titans on December 20th, and WWE is reportedly planning to push the event to the level of some of the Mexican promotion's bigger shows since being purchased by TKO. The show is set to be held at the new Arena Guadalajara in Guadalajara, Mexico. According to PW Insider, Guerrera de Titans, which will feature WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, will be promoted along the same lines as the recent World Collide events. PW Insider also reports that WWE has around 60 AAA stars listed internally. AAA recently hosted AAA Heroes Inmortales 2025 this past weekend, while the next big event is AAA Alinzas, which will be held on November 2nd. AAA stars will also compete alongside WWE NXT and TNA wrestling stars at NXT Gold Rush, which will be broadcast over 2 nights on November 18th and November 25th. Now, AAA and WWE have yet to announce what part Rey Mysterio will play at the event, with the Hall of Famer currently sidelined from in-ring action due to injury. However, recent reports have indicated that Mysterio is on the mend and has once again begun training at the WWE Performance Center, while his son Dominic Mysterio is the current AAA Mega Champion. The legendary luchador has yet to wrestle in the Mexican promotion since it was acquired by WWE. His last match in AAA came way back in 2018. Now, tonight is another episode of AEW Dynamite, and it's the Fright Night special edition of the show, and 2 matches have been added to the broadcast. Tony Khan announced that Jon Moxley would take on Kyle O'Reilly in a rematch from last Wednesday at Fright Night Dynamite. Moxley got himself purposely disqualified in the bout last Wednesday, giving O'Reilly the victory. Plus, Darby Allin would team with Orange Cassidy to face the Death Riders duo of Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. An update here on Chelsea Green and her WWE future. She's going to be with WWE for years to come. Recently, Fightful Select reported that Chelsea Green had signed a new WWE contract. Fightful say they've learned additional details on how long the deal is and when it got done. Fightful had started inquiring about her status, as originally Chelsea had signed a 3-year deal in late 2022 that would have been up in late 2025. However, WWE approached Green well before the contract expired, and the two sides worked out a new deal in January. WWE sources confirm that the new contract is for 5 years, extending her deal all the way up to 2030. Green has been a fixture in the United States title division after winning the championship, but has also been working on the NXT brand. Going back to AAA here, and more WWE influence has been added to an upcoming show. As AAA's Day of the Dead television taping on November 2nd inches closer, more matches are being added to the show lineup. A video from Los Garza, Angel and Berto, was pushed out onto social media, and they called out Psycho Circus, Dave the Clown and Murder Clown for the event. That match is seemingly set to take place. The November 2nd AAA show is also set to feature Chelsea Green, teaming with NXT North American Champion Ethan Page to challenge Mr. Iguana and La Hidera for the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championships. Speaking of Halloween, and a special Hardy Halloween edition of TNA Impact has been confirmed. TNA's wrestling weekly regular programming has yet to return, coming off the heels of Bound for Glory. They aired the After the Glory special, the Bound for Glory Fade to Black documentary, and coming up on October 30th, an episode titled A Very Hardy Halloween will air. The Hardys are the reigning TNA World Tag Team Champions. They were in possession of the NXT Tag Team titles, but lost the belts to Dark State at NXT Halloween Havoc. The aforementioned title match was a Broken Rules match, and Matt and Jeff competed as the Broken Hardys. A live edition of TNA Impact is scheduled for the November 14th edition of the show at Full Sail University, and the next day will be the Turning Point special. Now, some sad news here regarding WWE Hall of Famer Mike Rotunda. Of course, many may know him as IRS. Of course, may know him as the father of the late Bray Wyatt. Barry Windham has revealed that his brother-in-law, Mike Rotunda, is currently in hospice care after Bill Apter of One Wrestling Video asked about Windham's memories of Bray Wyatt at the Glory Days GrappleCon. Windham replied, quote, "It's kind of tough right now. Mike is in hospice right now. Anyway, that family, I love that family. It's so tragic." Windham then shared his favorite memories of his US Express tag team partner, added, quote, "I met Mike in Toronto in 1982. I met him before he went to Germany to train. It was like we were old friends when we first met. When he showed up in Florida, we hit it right off the bat like old pals forever. Just some people that happens with." Windham also asked for prayers for his brother-in-law to close out the interview. Mike Rotunda had a decades-long career in pro wrestling, performing in WWE, WCW, New Japan, All Japan, IWA Japan, AWA, Championship Wrestling from Florida, and other promotions. He is a 5-time WWE Tag Team Champion, having held the bouts with Barry Windham as the US Express and Ted DiBiase as Money Inc. He is also a 3-time NWA World Television Champion and 1-time NWA World Tag Team Champion with Dr. Death Steve Williams from their time in the Varsity Club. Following the end of his in-ring career, Rotunda worked as a road agent/producer for WWE from 2006 until 2020. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2024 as part of the US Express with Barry Windham. Mike Rotunda is the father of the late Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas/Uncle Howdy, and Mika Rotunda, and of course, thoughts and prayers are going out to the Rotunda family. And finally, many people were wondering just where was Santos Escobar this past Monday on Raw. While he did not appear on the show, Santos Escobar was indeed backstage at Monday Night Raw on October 27th from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. That's according to PW Insider. Why Escobar was at the event is unknown, but he could have been there to discuss a possible return to television for the 41-year-old. Escobar has not wrestled on WWE television since Worlds Collide in June, and he hasn't wrestled at all since WWE's house shows in Mexico on July 26th and July 27th. Escobar disappeared from WWE programming in the summer, as the company reportedly expected him to leave when his contract expired in October. The former NXT Cruiserweight Champion did leave WWE, but only for a few hours, because he ended up re-signing with the company just hours after his deal expired. According to reports, WWE management made Escobar a sizably larger offer than what had been previously offered following the expiration of his contract, and the Luchador ultimately inked a very big money deal. Escobar first signed with WWE in 2019, and he moved to the main roster in 2022. He is the former leader of Legado del Fantasma and a former member of the Latino World Order. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.